I'm Ariana with Waste Loop, and I'm here with Nicole Haskey. And we were just talking about her native bees, and of course we couldn't help but eye the chickens. And so we're going to learn a little bit more about why you started to get into chickens and kind of what that journey has been like.
Yeah. So one of my biggest draws for getting chickens is I eat a lot of eggs. I eat eggs every single day. And I've always been an animal lover, and so that really was, I was like, well, if I can have that food grown right here that I eat all the time, it'll save me money, it'll help reduce our footprint overall, right, from eggs being distributed from somewhere else to get transported here, and then other benefits of they're great for insect control. They're great at being a compost, eating your table scraps when you're done, and then composting that so that can be used in your garden. So they just were a natural fit for me and what I want to do here. So
That's great.
yeah.
So what does the journey look like? When did you start this year, and kind of maybe what have been some of the challenges and learning lessons along the way?
Yeah. So I started, well, they were born May 19th, and I think I ordered them about a month or so beforehand, because I thought I was going to get their chicken coop and run all built before that. I guess maybe it was in March when I initially ordered them, and it right around the time that COVID hit, and then it was like, oh my goodness. I got to build a chicken coop all by myself, and I don't know how to do that. So I just, I found a free plan online that looked, and I started researching about chickens, and I wanted to do, it's almost all made out of salvaged wood that was left over from other projects, and so it is a little ramshackle, but it was a really fun process, and I ended up, one of the great things about it was I ended up with community support from friends that I probably wouldn't have asked help for had COVID not happened. I probably would have, my dad likes to come over and help with projects and stuff here a lot, and so and if he had done that, he would have done all the building, and I would have just helped and was okay with that. But instead, I learned using power tools. I learned the difference between wood screws and metal screws. All these things by trial and error, and I'm learning a lot about chickens too.
That's great. Well, the coop looks great. So obviously you need a coop, but what are the top things that you have to think about if you are wanting to get chickens?
One of the things is number of chickens. I actually wanted to get my chickens locally, and I was going to just initially get a couple. But because of COVID and all the restrictions, everyone decided they were going to do chickens this year.
Yeah.
And all the stores would run out of egg layers before I could get to them, all the feed stores and things. And so I decided, okay, well, I'll order online. So I started looking, and then it was like, okay, well, you have to order 10 chickens to have them mailed. They actually send them to you through the mail, which was really scary. But they all survived the trip, and I even had one stowaway.
So you have 11?
I have 11.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I have 11 girls here. And they all were girls. They came from Oregon, so they're Pacific Northwest local. But yeah, just started in the spring, and then they came, they essentially are mailed out the first day they're born. They get sexed, so they know for sure they're sending you females, and then they give them an initial vaccination, and then they come in the mail. And so 3 days later, they're 3 days old, they arrive in a box, and they started in this, I had them in a little like storage tub, and then they graduated to like a medium-sized dog crate that I had, and then they graduated to a large dog crate that I had. And all that while they were inside, they have to be inside for a certain number of weeks until they can go outside and be on their own. And you might hear the dog from the dog crate. He's digging a hole right here. He's helping me. You heard us talking about soil earlier.
Yeah.
But then graduated them up and eventually got the coop built and got them out here, and they're doing great. They're thriving and very entertaining.
That's great. So you have 11 chickens. What were some things when you were building the coop? How big does it have to be? Like if somebody doesn't have a lot of space in their backyard?
So it depends on the number of chickens that you have. So I asked around, and then I just went searching online for like what size of a coop do you need for 10 to 12 chickens, and found a plan that was free to print off. That was a pretty loose plan, not super specific. So if you're somebody who really wants specifics, I would go for a paid plan. So they need a coop that they can go into at night to protect them from predators, and then also a space where they can go to lay their eggs. And then they need a run around that. And this run my run is 12 by 12, and I'd actually, I'm going to fence in the area all around it to extend that, so when I'm home they can have a bigger area. Because if they're in too small of an area, they'll develop a pecking order, and they'll be grouchy with each other and pick on each other, and so space is a good thing.
Yeah. So what does your routine look like with the chickens? You feed them. What else? What is your routine?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this morning. I was like, my routine is a pretty high intensive routine, but they're my babies. So I get lots of enjoyment of interacting with them. I have been looking at different setups for, like, you can get setups where you can put your whole month's worth of feed in one thing. So it really minimizes the work that you have to do on a daily basis. My routine now these days is in the morning when I wake up, I come out and I let them out of their coop. They get locked in there at night. Which is really locking the predators out in case there might be predators. And then I bring them feed and any vegetables or things like that. If I have stuff that's scrapped that's about to go in my fridge that I'm not going to get to, I always bring treats too. My girls always rush the door when I come to see them, and they try and get out, and I'm worried that I won't be able to get them back in. So I bring treats, and it's just a fun interaction to keep them in, but then interact with each one so that they get some little love and attention each day. And then I usually come out in the afternoon when I get home from work, and we'll check on their water, and often we'll give them, check on their seed to see if they need more. I'm still learning how much 11 chickens can eat each day. And check for eggs. And then in the evening, usually about 20 minutes or so after sunset, I'll come and lock them in. They get themselves back in the coop. When the sun goes down, they all get in there and start roosting, and I just have to shut things up. And then I pull, like, they have, you might see some little mini pumpkins, the holes from those. I'll pull those things out so it reduces the chance of rodents or the draw to bring rodents. So
nice.
Yeah.
So you've had a lot of lessons that you've learned along the way. If somebody were interested in getting into chickens, and maybe having a few in their backyard, what would you recommend, and are there resources in this Leavenworth community for them to reach out to? Yeah. I've learned a lot just by talking to different folks and what has worked well for them and what didn't work well for them. Anytime you ask somebody something about chickens, or if you hear them saying something, ask them questions. Tell me more. What worked well for you? What didn't work well for you? Because it's all about learning. Everybody's always learning, and so that's really great. And then there are definitely folks who sell, like, Sage Mountain Natural Foods, I think would probably be a great place to check.
for stuff or information. I think that some folks actually sell their eggs there. And just any of those local resources would be great. The farmers market would be another great one. Check with your local farmer. They know a lot of things.
Yeah. So don't be shy.
Yeah. It's a great way to meet people. Just all of a sudden, oh, I heard you're talking about chickens.
Right. Yeah. Multiple ways to build community around sustainable things.
Yeah.
So can we take a look inside at maybe some of the parts of your run and coop and maybe say hello to your girls?
Yeah. Come on in. I'll give them some treats so they... Hi. Oh, come here. So usually I toss some treats so that they'll move away from the door. But... Come on in. Hi, everybody. So all of my girls are named after strong females. This over here, I'm not supposed to have favorites, but this one right here, that just got her right there. That's Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Especially heartwarming having that name now that RBG just passed away. But that's Georgie White, the first female river guide of the Grand Canyon. Yeah. We got Dolly Parton right there. Who else? Sonora Webster, she was famous for diving horses, a blind horse diver back in the day. So many ladies. And one of my favorite things is watching them jump. If you've never seen chickens jump, that's a good enough reason to get some chickens and try it out because they're so cute. So what I'll do when I come in is I'll give them a few to get in here, and then I'll set this. And Lucille Ball, has figured out, she knows that I set the treats right there, so she always comes and looks so that she can get one without competition from anybody else. And then, as I said before, everything here is salvaged and was a learning process for me. So I did most of the cutting of the wood with a Sawzall, so that's why it's not straight or anything. Old siding, old carabiner. So I come in here and I check the box in the morning. Sometimes I have them in the morning, sometimes I have eggs in the afternoon. I'm excited every time there's an egg in there. And they like to talk and tell me when there's an egg in there. And then what I've put in there so far for them for bedding is actually just long grass from my field. It's not hay or straw. I've just been trying to use what I have while it's in season, and they also will eat a lot of the different native weeds and things like that, or native plants growing. And they like to talk.
That's great. So you have the coop, and we're in the run, and these are the nesting boxes. So I see you talked about feeding, and you provide water, just kind of setting out water, or?
Well, I got a specific chicken water, but one thing chickens do is they like to take dust baths. So they get down in the dirt, and they roll, and they flap their wings, and they kick all this dirt up, and they clog it up all the time, and then then they're not able to get the water out of it. So I've just been giving them dishes of water, and then this winter I plan to give them water in a heated dog bowl so that it won't freeze.
Great. Well, your girls obviously love you a lot. Thanks so much for sharing your journey.
Bet. You bet. Hey.